All right, Chiefs Kingdom. I have a question today for everyone, and that question is: does Brett Veach play favorites? Does he have favorite position groupings in the draft, or does he simply look at who do I need to fill out this roster? We'll talk about that in today's episode. Welcome, everyone. I am Gary McKenzie, your host here at RGR Football, along with Ryan and Dan. I hope you all are having a great Thursday. Thank you for stopping by. So to answer the question, does Brett Veach play favorites in the draft? I want to talk about all the drafts starting from 2018 that Brett Veach has been the general manager for the Chiefs and been the one pulling the levers for the Chiefs draft picks. Since 2018, the Chiefs over the years have had many needs evolve for the team over time. And I went back through all those different years, and I went to go and check and see how Brett Veach does whenever it comes to drafting a need versus drafting a luxury. And so over the course of Brett Veach's career as general manager for the Chiefs, he has drafted based on need in the first 3 rounds about 68% of the time. So 2/3 of the time in the first 3 rounds, he's going to draft a position of need. And I think this is a good way to build your team because you kind of want to use the draft to supplement and fill some holes if you have them. But every year Brett Veach has gone into the draft, he's tried to have as few of critical needs as possible. And we saw him do that again this year, trying to fill every hole that the Chiefs have on their roster. And as of today, I think the Chiefs have 4 position groupings that are needed for the team to get better. The first, this is my number one priority for the Chiefs needs on the team, and that is defensive interior. Some of you may disagree and think it is my second item, but as of now, I think the thing that will put the Chiefs over the top more so than any other position grouping is if they were able to get another defensive interior player that could rush the passer, that could cause some pressures. If you go back and look at last year's Super Bowl versus the Eagles had dudes up front on the inside that could get to the quarterback regularly. The Chiefs, on the other hand, could not do that. So I think the Chiefs are closer to having an unstoppable defensive front than they are to having an offensive line that cannot let anybody through. The reason I don't believe in the offensive line improvement as much as I do in the defensive line improvement, especially the defensive interior, is because at right tackle, Jawaan Taylor is stuck starting for the Chiefs because of his uncuttable contract in year 3 of $27 million against the cap. And if the Chiefs were to cut him, they would actually lose money against the cap or break even, depending on when they did it. So they are stuck with Jawaan Taylor. And then at left tackle, who knows what they're going to do. But as of now, it looks like Jalen Moore is going to be the starter, but will compete. So we're back in the situation, the same situation we were last year. Meanwhile, on the defensive interior, the Chiefs are one player, in my opinion, away from having an awesome defensive front. So you have Chris Jones, George Karlaftis doing work. You add one more player into that mix who can pressure the quarterback consistently. That's going to cause a waterfall effect, a snowball effect, because then you have to make decisions. Are we going to double team Chris Jones every time? Are we going to put a hat and put a running back to chip on George Karlaftis? Or do we have to worry about this third person? And so that is why my number one need for the Chiefs this offseason going into the draft is going to be defensive interior. My second need, like I said, many of you might think this is the first, is tackle. So the Chiefs are most likely going to walk away from Jawaan Taylor's contract next year. They're going to get out of it. They can finally do it to where it makes sense financially. So they're not going to have a starting right tackle next season as of now unless Wanya Morris can fill in. But they'll need depth, and they need options at left tackle. So I think tackle is the second position grouping for the Chiefs that is most important. Next, this is the same issue as defensive interior. I have edge, so pass rusher is the next position grouping, positional need for the Chiefs. And that's from the same idea as the defensive interior. Get one more guy that can rush the passer. It's going to cause a snowball effect. And offenses will have to pick their poison. It'll cause a problem all day long. And really, you can kind of lump defensive interior and edge together. The Chiefs just need one more really good pass rusher on this defense, and they're going to be set, and things are going to look awesome. I don't know if they'll be able to do it this draft, but I have my fingers crossed they'll find somebody. Lastly, the last positional need for the Chiefs, I believe, is the tight end position. Travis Kelce's getting old. Noah Gray has looked like a serviceable backup, but I do not know if he is ready to take on a starting role. Jared Wiley last year, didn't see him out there much. So we don't know what the story is out on him, but the Chiefs have a lot of room to go at the tight end position after Travis Kelce retires, and from all appearances, this is Travis Kelce's farewell tour in 2025. Looking at the different positional groupings that Brett Veach has drafted, if you remember, he picks by need in the first 3 rounds 2/3 of the time. So I would not be surprised if a defensive interior player and a tackle were selected in the first 3 rounds to the Chiefs. That would not surprise me at all. Or any mixture of these 4. I would not be surprised if 2 of these positions out of defensive interior, tackle, edge, and tight end are taken in the first 3 rounds. Over the years, Brett Veach has kind of had some patterns in terms of how he drafts. So the most drafted position by Brett Veach is along the offensive line. He's taken 9 players in the draft in the offensive line, 2 in the 2nd round, 2 in the 3rd round, 2 in the 5th round, 1 in the 6th round, and 2 in the 7th round. So scattered throughout. There's not a pattern much with the offensive line. He just gets bodies. Not likely to take one in the 1st round. He hasn't done that yet, but I guarantee you if a tackle falls to the Chiefs in the 1st round, they are going to pull the trigger on that tackle. They might even trade up to pull the trigger on that tackle. Moving on to let's stick on the offensive side of the ball. At the wide receiver position, Brett Veach has drafted 6 wide receivers over the years, 1 in the 1st round, 3 in the 2nd round, 1 in the 5th round, and 1 in the 6th round. So here's a pattern here. You see Brett Veach wants to take a wide receiver early in the draft. I do not have wide receiver as a need for this team. It would be a luxury, and there's a lot of people out there drooling over the thought of Luther Burden making it to the Chiefs, which, honestly speaking, I'm drooling a little bit over that thought too, being a Mizzou alum and watching Luther Burden play. He's awesome. But I don't think the Chiefs are going to take a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds. At the running back position, the Chiefs have taken 3 running backs since Brett Veach has become general manager of the Chiefs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire in 2020 in the 1st round. This was a year where they drafted a running back, which was a luxury pick in the 1st round, not a team need, so one of the 32%-ish, 33%-ish, where Brett Veach went away from a need in the first 3 rounds, and that, in my opinion, was a terrible draft pick. Do not pick a running back in the 1st round unless they are like Ashton Giante. Then go ahead and do it. Otherwise, wait until the 3rd and 4th rounds to draft your running back. You can find a lot of quality running backs in the 3rd and 4th round. Or you could look in the 6th and 7th round, like Brett Veach did for his other 2 picks of Darwin Thompson in 2019 and then Isaiah Pacheco in 2022. Isaiah Pacheco, starting caliber running back for the Chiefs, but he appears to have taken a step back. So the Chiefs drafted a running back in the 1st round once, a luxury pick, and I don't think they'll ever do it again with Brett Veach unless something crazy happens. The tight end position, the Chiefs have only taken two tight ends while Brett Veach has been the general manager. Noah Gray in 2021, Jared Wiley in 2024. Wiley was a 4th-round pick last year. Noah Gray was a 5th-round pick in 2021. So I think that offensively, I would not be surprised at all if Brett Veach drafts a tight end early. That might be my sleeper pick for the Chiefs in the first 3 rounds. But as far as patterns go along the offensive side of the ball, it appears that there's not really a pattern for drafting offensive linemen. They're going to pick guys everywhere in the draft. The running back position, I think we can say safely that they're not going to draft an early running back. Wide receiver position, who knows? It appears that Brett Veach favors first and second round wide receivers, but they don't really have a need for wide receivers, so they may not spend a first or second round draft pick on a wide receiver whenever they have other needs to fill along the team. And then the tight end position, they've only taken 2. So maybe third time's a charm for Brett Veach, and they can find a replacement for Travis Kelce. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, the position grouping that the Chiefs have selected the most along the defensive side of the ball, I'll let you think about it. Yes, exactly, you are right. It is the cornerback position with 9 players picked at the cornerback position. The Chiefs have made 1 first-round cornerback selection in 2022. We all know who that is, Trent McDuffie. 2 in the 4th round, one of those being L'Jarius Sneed. 2 in the 6th round, and then 4 in the 7th round. So there's your trend. Very rarely are the Chiefs going to pick a early round cornerback. They're most likely going to get bodies at the end of the draft, try to find talented players that have good measurables, and then see if Spagnuolo can use them in his system. I think Spagnuolo is looking for 2 qualities in a player in his secondary. One quality is you need to have the athleticism. The second quality is you have to have the intelligence. If you have those 2 things, I think Spagnuolo, and rightly so, believes that he can make you work in his system. There are a lot of talented players. There are a lot of players who are smart and also have good measurables that go late in the draft because maybe they played for a smaller school. Maybe they didn't have the most explosive combine numbers, but they have good athleticism. Maybe they didn't put up huge numbers in college, or maybe they spent a year hurt, or they were played through an injury. All kinds of reasons these players fall to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have done a great job finding players for their secondary in the late rounds. So I would not be surprised if, once again, the Chiefs spend 1 or 2 of their 7th-round picks or their later-round picks getting cornerbacks or someone to play on the outside or in the slot. The next most drafted position for the Chiefs on the defensive side of the ball is defensive end or pass rusher. They have taken 6 in Brett Veach's tenure. 2 in the 1st round, 1 in the 2nd round. That 1 second-rounder was Brett Veach's first draft pick as general manager for the Chiefs with Breeland Speaks in 2018. Bad pick, didn't work out. That's okay. 1 in the 4th round, 2 in the 5th round. So the pattern here is that the Chiefs kind of are more interested in getting a pass rusher in the first few rounds, but are not afraid to take a flyer later on. So no really major pattern here, but I will say they've had more success drafting early than they have late, which is, of course, the way it goes for most positions in the NFL. In fact, the Chiefs are very rare in their ability to find cornerbacks late in the draft that are successful. Moving on to the linebacker position, the Chiefs have drafted 4 linebackers with Brett Veach, and this is interesting. All their 4 linebackers have either been second-rounders or third-rounders. So they put a premium on good linebacker play and want to take linebackers early in the draft, which I think if you look at the way Nick Bolton was paid and taken care of by the Chiefs front office, Spagnuolo puts a lot of pressure and a lot of weight on his linebacker room, and he wants guys that are top level at the linebacker position. He values the linebacker position a lot. And you could tell that by the way they've drafted, by the way they've handled free agency, and by the way they've paid players that they had on the roster to stick around. The safety position for the Chiefs, they've taken 5 players, 2 in the 2nd round, and 3 in the 4th round. So once again, safety a little bit earlier than the cornerback position. But overall, the Chiefs right now for safety, I feel like even though they lost Justin Reed, they have replacements. The Chiefs have drafted fairly well at the safety position. They got Brian Cook in 2022, Chamari Connor in 2023, Jaden Hicks in 2024. All these players can contribute. So I would not be surprised to see a 4th-round pick for the Chiefs or somewhere around there for a safety. Lastly, defensive interior. The Chiefs have taken 4 defensive interior players since Brett Veach has been general manager of the Chiefs. 2 in the 3rd round, Derek Nottie and Colin Saunders. 2 in the 6th round, Khalil McKenzie and Keandre Coburn in 2023. The Chiefs have not done a lot of movement at defensive interior. And their plan the last several years has been, let's just get guys in free agency, put them on one-year deals, and see how that works out. They signed Charles Omenihu to a one-year deal. They signed Mike Pennell to another one-year deal. And these guys, while playing admirably, they have not given the Chiefs that extra oomph that we had hoped for, particularly with Charles Omenihu. We know Mike Pennell is going to stop the run. He's an awesome run stuffer. Charles Omenihu, after tearing his ACL, did not look quite as good last season coming back, but many people think it takes a year and a half to 2 years to fully recover from that injury. So I think that the lack of drafting along the defensive interior and having this model of let's just give guys one-year deals tells me that the Chiefs are not that Spagnuolo does not value defensive line depth as much as he should. I think that this team could be much better if they had one more pass rusher. So I think the Chiefs are going to do the following in the draft. If a tackle falls to them in the first round, they will take that tackle. If a tackle does not fall to them in the first round, they will either go defensive interior or pass rusher. In the second round, I think they're going to double down again and go for another defensive lineman. Unless, once again, an offensive tackle or wide receiver, some other skill position player falls to them. In the third round, I think they're going to go after a tight end. I don't know who that tight end is going to be, but I think that first 3 picks for the Chiefs are going to be defensive interior, edge, and tight end. If a tackle does not fall to them, if a tackle falls to them, all of it's off the board. But I do not see a starting caliber tackle falling in this draft to the Chiefs, and instead they're going to be left picking up the scraps. And I don't think that at 31 the Chiefs are going to have a tackle that's ready for them to select that they're going to want on the roster. But now is your time to tell me in the comments, what do you think about my positional picks for the Chiefs in the draft? Do you think that they even care about what position to take based on team need, or they are simply 100% BPA, best player available? I think they do take into consideration the position groupings because they have drafted for need over 2/3 of the time. So I think that does matter. It's probably a best of both worlds situation where they're taking positional need and also getting best player available whenever they see a huge gap between a position of need and a player that's available. But that's my take on kind of preparing for the draft. We'll have more draft content coming up. But this is Gary signing out. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Take care and enjoy this beautiful spring weather.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.